So you're talking about my teacher, right?
No, tell them about that here at Phuket, I had a lot of beach and the sea and maybe some wave disrupt the signal here. So we have to set the display every time for each station.
I want to say I wear this t-shirt.
Okay, you ready for go to the beach, right? เขาเพิ่งแลนด์เครื่องวันนี้นะเมื่อเช้าแล้วก็ตรงมาที่อีเวนต์นี้แล้วก็เสร็จจากนี้ก็จะไปที่ภูเก็ตจริงๆแล้วผมนั่งคุยกับเขามาเที่ยวที่ภูเก็ตเมื่อ2 อาทิตย์ก่อนครับก็วันนี้ก็บินกลับมาอีกรอบหนึ่งเพื่อมาพรีเซนต์นะโอเคครับน่าจะใกล้พร้อมแล้วขอเสียงตบมือให้กับคุณยากิด้วยนะครับ
Okay, thank you very much. Pompai pasa Thai classes, but it's worse my Thai than my English, so this conference will be in English. English is not my first language, so if you don't understand something, you want to speak slow, fast, raise your hand, I can repeat again very happy. So, I'm Iñaki Villar. I'm working as learning in Agoda. I'm Google developer expert, and to reach me in the social networks, I'm using Google Plus and Twitter. So it's very strange. I can use Facebook, I can use Instagram, I can use LinkedIn, but I think that Twitter and Google Plus fits very well the social network in this case. Okay, let me first introduce one thing because the title of this conference is Building Quality Apps with Firebase Tesla. But first, we have to speak about testing and why the testing is important because it's very fun, you know. In the other room, the people are speaking about money, marketing, product, but we are the developers, so we are the people that build the applications, that build the quality of the product, right? And testing is quality. I mean, for example, imagine that you have your app, you start your app, and the app crashes. What happened in this case? So the user can review a bad review in the Google Play, or can install another application. So nowadays, it's not like the 3 or 4 years ago. Honestly, so in all the developers that I know actually, all the developers are testing the code. So, well, I remember to speak with you last day, you are not doing UI testing, but you are testing your code. So it's real, it's another thing on our job. I think it's not about quality. But if our platform, because I'm an Android developer, so it's a little bit special, right? We don't have only one kind of device. We don't have, for example, like in iOS, one iPhone and one iPad, and that's it. Well, they have an iPhone Plus or something like that, 2 devices. We have a lot of different dimensions. We have tablets, we have smartwatch, TV, whatever. So we have a different ecosystem. And we are not talking about testing the code. We are talking about testing that our application, when the user press the icon, it works very well. Because we don't want that the user goes to the other company. Okay? And as well, we have the problem with the fragmentation in the API. So this means that my phone, for example, is running the Android 5. But actually, we have the Android 7. So this is the data from the latest dashboard of Google Play developers, and still the most used version is KitKat. So then we have, Lollipop in this case, and then KitKat. So still we have to support different versions of the API. And that's one of the things that because we have to be very, very focused in the testing on the Android applications. So testing, I'm talking about testing with our application, not our code. Because again, for me, your code is tested. Because you are an engineer, you are a developer, you are testing your code. I'm talking about testing the application. It's a problem, it was a problem. So I remember that we have a lot of libraries, frameworks, whatever. But now we can use TestLab that is a part of the product of Google Firebase. So in Firebase, it's not only about databases, it's not only about, for example, analytics. We have a lot of products, and one of the products is TestLab. And what is this Firebase TestLab? TestLab provides a cloud-based solution to test your applications in the cloud, in the Google Cloud. So not in your office. You are testing your applications in the Google Cloud. With one single operation, you can deploy your app, running your test, and see the results. Even if you don't know how to write tests, Firebase has one cool feature to write tests for you. So, go on. What are the key features of TestLab? First of all, it's test on real devices. It's very important because we have the emulator in Android, we have Genymotion as well, but still, it's not the same. So it's not the same testing in a real device than testing in an emulator, because well, some conditions are different, of course. So with TestLab, we can run these devices on the Google Cloud. Of course, we can run the test, not only the test that I write by Espresso as well, this kind of test that you don't have to know how to write tests. And finally, the workflow integration. We can use TestLab with Android Studio, with GitLab, and with the Firebase console user interface. That is very cool. First of all, how works this TestLab? Okay, the devices, we are using the infrastructure of Google data center. What's mean? So that's mean that we are relying everything in Google, and that's very cool because well, under our experience, if you are supporting a local farm lab, so I mean that if you are trying to build something at your office, it's hard because you have a lot of devices. Sometimes the ADB, that is the Android debug bridge to connect the device with your laptop, with the machine, with the Mac Mini, sometimes fails. You receive an update from Samsung, you are breaking your UI test. So, well, there's a lot of stuff. In this case, you don't have to be worried about anything because it's cool, it's working for you and it works very well. So, then we have the how we can run the test. Again, we have Android Studio. We can run the test from Android Studio in the last version 2.2. We can deploy directly. We are writing our test. We can deploy. Firebase console. That's the same user interface that we are using for A/B testing, for data store, we can use the same for testing. And finally, GCloud, that is a really cool tool that we are going to check later. Finally, the last point are the tests. How we can write the test? Well, we can write by Robotium, that is another library, and Espresso and UI Automator. So, it's quite simple. We write the test, we deploy in the Firebase console, Android Studio, or GCloud, and finally we are going to the Google Data Center and then check the results. So, simple, and we are not investing anything in devices, in infrastructure, anything. And then there is a new thing with Firebase console, that is the robot test. Again, this is the thing that we don't have to know how to write the test. And you can use the robot test with GCloud and Firebase console. Not with Android Studio, of course, because in Android Studio we are writing the test. Okay, how should be the implementation path to work with Firebase console TestLab? So first of all, we have to write the test, obviously. Then we have to choose a test environment, and finally checking the results. Makes sense, right? Write, deploy, and finally review the results. Let's go to the first point, that is writing the test. Before, I said that about Espresso and UI Automator. So it's not a secret that I'm a huge fan of Espresso, and with the Android Unit Runner, it's the Android testing support library. This is one library provided by Google to help you in the testing of the user interface. Espresso and UI Automator are testing frameworks, and the difference is that UI Automator, you can provide some kind of testing with different apps. Imagine that you have your application, you want to switch the language, and then you want to see what's the result. And the Android runner is the new instrumentation runner in the ATCL. Instrumentation is a very important concept for testing, because that means that you can hook the application in your test. Okay, a simple case, imagine that when you're going back in your activity, in your screen, your activity is killed, right? You pass with the method on destroy. You cannot call to the method on destroy directly in your code. But in the instrumentation, you want to test what's the behavior of the application, and you can do that. So, Espresso, it's a game changer in the testing, on the UI testing. And it's because the main feature is that you don't have to be worried about the threads. It's a little bit more technical, but let me one moment. So in the Android, if you are an Android developer, so you know that you are running your test in the main thread. So your code in the main thread. If you are working in a background task, you have to go in the background thread because it's a penalty in the user interface. But the instrumentation, the tests, are running in another thread. So the communication between the two threads could be a little bit hard to do. And Espresso takes care of these things about you. So that means that you don't have to take care about these complex situations in the Java world, like threading, and you have to only write tests. And how is the syntax of Espresso? That's one of the cool things. It's very easy. You have to think like a user, and you can write tests. Actually, in Agoda, with Learning, we have some people that didn't have a lot of experience with Java, for example, with Android, and they are writing tests with Espresso. So it's very cool. That means that, so don't be afraid to go to the testing, because you can do that. So imagine I have a simple user interface, and I want to test what happens when I click this button. Think about one user. As user, what I want to do. First, I want to find the button, and then I want to click, and finally, I want to check the result. That's it. So the language of Espresso is quite simple. There are three things. We are trying to find a video, we are performing an action, and finally, we are doing the search. Easy. Very easy, and well, you have a lot of things in the real world. You have different user interfaces, you have different components, but works pretty well. The next point is Robotest. Robotest is a new concept from the Firebase console. And again, I prefer that all of you write testing with Espresso, but if you don't want to write tests with Firebase Test Lab, you can use now Robotest. Robotest is a tool that not write a test for you, but explores your application and then explore your application in different levels and repeat and repeat and repeat all the time this test. It's perfect to detect problems in the regression problems. For example, before we had one tool called Monkey Runner in Android, and Monkey Runner is something random. So you starting the test with the user activity, with the activity, and all the time the Monkey Runner is clicking in different parts of the application. This is doing always the same, and it's very important because if you have one problem in the second flow of the activity, always you are going to test that. Another feature of Robotest is that you can deploy in Google Play as well. When you are trying to release a new APK or in beta or in alpha channel, for example, you can run the Robotest testing. And again, you don't have to say anything, you don't have to know anything about testing. One thing more, for example, is the definition of the div. Imagine that you have, for example, this example of application. I have one list of categories. If I click one, I go to detail. and then I go to the sharing to the Facebook. For example, this is two level of data, list of categories, detail of categories. Now, Robotest is using this behavior to explore your activity and do always the same. So when you're trying to release a new version, you know that you have one check that is doing the same. At the end, you have to check what's the result of this test, right? And Robotest is using logs, videos, and screenshots. So it's absolutely cool. Then we can see an example. First point was in the implementation part, writing test. The second is choose the environment. Okay? How we can choose the environment? That's the cool thing. So in test lab, we can use the test dimension. What is the test dimension? The test dimension is different features that has the device. So for example, I want to test in a Nexus 5, in a Nexus 7. So the device type is one type of configuration. TestLab offers different types of features, but we are going to see later. The test execution is another thing, very important, because for each valid combination that we have, for example, I want to test Nexus 5, I want to test API 21 on portrait mode, and for English and Thai. This is a dimension. And finally, the test matrix is the combination of dimensions and executions to generate like a matrix, and every time we can run this test. Let's do one simple example, and what is the test execution? For example, imagine I want to test in two devices, Nexus 5, Nexus 7. I want to test in two APIs, 21, 22. In one language, English, and in portrait. How many executions are here? It's 2 per 2 per 1 per 1. Okay? 4. For my test, I'm running up 4 tests. What kind of type dimensions we have? So we can use for device type. Actually, we can use physical and virtual devices. We have maybe 200 different combinations available today. That means that maybe in 2 months we will have 300. Android API level, 21, 22, 23. Okay, all the locales available in the world. So that means that you can test your app in Thai and English, very important. And the screen orientation, tablets from smartphones, you want to know what happened. Portrait and landscape. Physical devices that we have in the Google Cloud actually is Asus, HTC, LG, Motorola, and Samsung. That means this does not mean that it's only these devices, because in the future, Google is going to add more and more and more devices. So it's very cool because we have different devices. For Samsung, the S6, that is a very popular device that we actually can test. The Galaxy Note 3, and they were thinking about the Galaxy Note 7, but they are waiting a little bit, right? Say that we can use emulators as well, not only physical devices. It's cheaper to use emulators, but you have some restrictions, right? OpenGL, the camera. So in your daily work, you have maybe to measure what is your community. Okay, we know that how to write tests. We know how to select the environment. Finally, we have to run the test. The most important thing. We have three ways. One is with the Firebase console user interface. Another is with Android Studio, and finally with Cloud. Well, with the Firebase console user interface is the same starting point as, for example, analytics, A/B testing. The same things that we saw before is the same for console UI. And the way that you have to set up your Google account, and you can enter. And then this is a simple example that I'm running some test here. 2 matrix. One, I'm testing instrumentation, and the other is with the robot. Okay? how I can create a project of testing. Well, first of all, you have to create a project. And in this case, we have created a bouquet. Then you have to select the client, obviously Android. And finally, you have to add some details. It's not very clear, but you have to specify the package name and SHA if you want to deploy some kind of apps or whatever. At the end, presents one dialog with the configuration that you have to update in your Android Studio project. Okay. What next? We have the project. So that means the project is not related still with the testing. Okay, it's a project of Firebase. So when we have created the project, we have all these options. So obviously the option is the test lab. So we are ready. When you want to run the test, the first question that Firebase console user interface does is asking, what do you want? A robot test, so that means that I don't want to write anything, or a instrumentation test, espresso time. Okay? Then you have to select the test dimension as we saw before. So here we have the physical devices. See? The API levels from 18 to 23, and the orientation. Down we have the location as well, but it's not enough the screen. Look that sometimes maybe it's not available. For example, one combination that you are doing, if you're trying to select Nexus 7 and then API level 23, it's not available. So we don't have a physical device with these features. So still, you are selecting this execution, one test for this device is not running. And after that, what is? So, well, it's not very well, but we have to wait. So here I'm testing for Nexus 5, API level 22, Nexus 9, API level 22, Nexus 6, 22, and we are waiting. Finally, we are getting the results of the execution. This all in the Firebase console. Here, I think that I'm writing robot test. Yeah, and that's the thing. So Robotest is generating the screenshots for you. Here I have a simple application with a navigation drawer, and the screenshots are generated for me. Okay, we have the logs, screenshots, and videos as well. And one of for me, one of the best features is the activity map. The activity map has nothing to do with the activity on Android. It's related with the activity of the user. So you have the starting point here. So sorry that it's not, I don't know if you are seeing properly, but it's the main activity, and Robotest is generating for you all the flows. And as I said before, always will be the same flow, because we want to catch this bugs or regression test. Okay, if we are going in a little bit more zoom, we can see that the activity map is starting with the main activity, and then there are actions before. So because in a flow of your application, you're going first to the detail, then you can go back and you want to see the result. So actually, it's doing anything for you. Again, so if you are finishing your test, remember that you have all these 4 tabs to see the logs, the screenshots, the activity map, and the videos. Okay. Another way to deploy the test, not with Firebase console, is with Android Studio. If we are developers, we love to do that. And how to set up the project? Yes, first of all, we have to. I'm working here with Android Studio 2.2, okay? The latest release candidate. First of all, we have to set up the Firebase in our project. We have started the project, we click on Tools, Firebase, and then we have a tab on the right with a lot of, because maybe we can set up not only the test lab, we want to set up the messaging, the storage, the A/B testing, or whatever, the analytics. Then we have to connect our project with Firebase, when you click this button, open a new pop-up. You have to sign up with Google, etc. And that's it. Finally, you have to write your test. In my opinion, always with espresso. But what about? Can you do that something with Robotest here? No, because Robotest is another kind of testing, okay? Here in Under the Studio, always we are going to test with instrumentation test. Robotium of espresso or UI Automator, of course. Then I have my phone, I have my application, and I want to run my test. Usually, when you want to run your test, you have these options. Okay, when you specify your application, the module, if you want to test a class, a method, the instrumentation runner, and here the new thing is that you can target the Firebase test lab device matrix. This is connected to your account. In your account, you know which execution test, which matrix do you have. Okay? In this case, we have this sample configuration with 18 different executions. Doesn't mean different devices. Execution, remember, the combination with device type, API level, Spring configuration, and locale. And finally, we are assigning to the project that is in this case, okay. What else? We can create a new test matrix, of course. The same user interface that we have seen for the Firebase console user interface, we can do the same here. Again, orientation, locale, platform, and device. The physical devices, and here, that's the virtual devices. Okay? And finally, Under the Studio is telling you how many configurations you have and the pricing. So I didn't speak about the pricing, but well, it's cheap. Okay? For Firebase, for physical devices, is $5 per hour. $5 per hour means maybe more than 1,000 tests. For virtual devices, is $1 per hour. But that's one thing that is not very announced now. Now the virtual devices are free until October. So we are on 16th of September. You can use virtual device free in the Firebase console. If you want to test, that's it. Finally, we are running core test, and we only have to wait to see the results. This is the console in the Under the Studio. So we have to think that we are uploading our APK. We are uploading our APK, and then it's returning the results. As well, you can go to the Firebase console to check the result in the console, in the user interface, not only in the Under the Studio. Well, we are at the end, mostly, so we can run the test. Firebase console, Under the Studio, and gCloud. What is gCloud? What is? Well, gCloud is a tool that provides it's like a command line interface for Google Cloud Platform. Okay? Think that Google Cloud is not only Firebase Test Lab. Google Cloud is a lot of products included inside inside Google. For example, the storage, Google Cloud Storage. For example, Google Zipper, computation. You have a lot of products. That means that with this command line, you can run different commands in your CI server. And how we can work with that? First of all, we have to start installing the JDK, the Google Cloud SDK, and then setting up our project. So first, we have to say that it previously was Phuket. So I have to say that my default project is Phuket, and then I have to do the authentication with my login. Okay? So prompt a message, what's your user, your password, etc. This is always by terminal. So I open a terminal and I'm typing this message. So with Google, with gCloud beta test Android device list, I receive a list of the available devices in the console. By default, we have the Nexus 5, but it's totally separate. And then how I can run a test? Well, in the same way, by console, you can run, you can type GitLab, beta test, Android run, and then the patterns of the test. Look, here we are specifying that the type is robo. Robo is the friend that we don't have to write. We are saying which app, the device ID, OS version, locales, orientation, and timeout. Because imagine that your application is doing some stuff in background, you don't want to hack the app, right? And remember that you are being billed for the time that you are running the test. So we are saying that 90 seconds per test. The same way, we can run the instrumentation test by console, and in this case is the type is instrumentation, and in the instrumentation test we have to indicate the normal APK and the test APK. Okay? And finally, the device ID, OS versions, locale, and the orientation. And how is the result? The same. We can wait until to see the results, but if you type to see the results, you are seeing by console. I think that this G-Cloud is perfect. If you are working with Jenkins, with whatever CI client are you using, it's perfect in integration because you can deploy your code and you can go to the test lab to execute your testing. So, I want to do a demo, but I don't know. We have time, or
Yeah.
or maybe or later. Or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, we have. เราตามกันดีครับ
Well, okay, we can start with GitLab. This is a real terminal in my laptop. So that's mean I put to see what's the available devices in this case, and we have a lot. Look at there are some beta devices in the Nexus 4. That means that it's virtual. Okay, you have the download virtual, and you have the normal one. And then here, I'm trying to run one test, GitLab beta test 100 run type row. Okay? Let's see if this works. I don't have. See, the Wi-Fi is good. We can see the result. Okay. Oh, well, let's check because before I was testing, and here is the execution of one GitLab testing, and look how it's presented the results. I have some failed tests for the Nexus 7 and not for the Nexus 6 in API 21. For the Nexus 7, I see that in the API 19, I have some problems. So it's cool because I can understand that some users with an API very old, I can test or I can detect some problems. Okay. Perfect. Let's do. Okay, one of the great things of the Android Studio 2, I think that then we are going to speak about Android Studio, is the test recorder. Again, So it's another way to don't write tests, but at the end we have to understand how to write tests. But test recorder is a tool for avoid to write the test, and meanwhile you are executing your application. You can see you can generate the interactions, and Android Studio generates the code. Okay. Meanwhile, this is loading, the later is a little bit slow. We can see the same as I said before about the matrix configuration in Android Studio. So I can configure, I can create a new one, I can edit. So that means that I can add some more devices to that, to my test. And that means that I'm using 18 configurations. So when you have the link to generate to Firebase to know how many dollars this costs. But at the moment it's not so expensive. Okay. You have the app on the left side, and here you have the record of expression. That means that if, for example, I'm open the navigation drawer, it's generating the code for me. I click twice, so sorry, but the code is twice. Okay, the third, I go to tools, and that's it. And I want to check, for example, I can do an assertion, and I want to say, oh, this button is activated. Yeah. Exist. Oh, it's so small, sorry. Okay. And finally, I complete the recording. This is generating the test for me. Okay, it's asking me what's the name, and I have the test created. The code is easy to understand, and sometimes sometimes at work, I try when I have some question how to serve a view, I use the test recorder and I say, no, in this way. Oh. Yeah. So it's generating the code, and it's Google code, so in Google we trust, right? So cool. And what's the final thing? Execute the test, but not execute the test locally. We want to run the test in the Firebase console. Thailand Digital Thailand. Well, I want to show you the Firebase console, but it's not very fast. Some problems with the Wi-Fi. Okay, sorry, I don't have connectivity here, so I don't want to stop. If later, when this is done, if you want to check or you want to see the how this works internally, so come grab me, and very happy I can show you how it works internally under the studio, the Firebase console, the G Cloud, everything. So, well, finally, thank you very much, and I hope to enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you, guys.
เดี๋ยวเซสชั่นรับอัพคร่าวๆนะระหว่างรอเปลี่ยนสไลด์ก็เทสแลบนะ Firebase เทสแลบนะครับก็จริงๆแล้วคุณยากิเนี่ยเขาเป็น GDE Android ซึ่งเรื่องที่เขาเปิดเรื่องนึงก็คือเรื่อง testing เนี่ยแหละครับ testing app เรียกว่าเป็นไม่กี่คนในโลกที่เดียว